Hey, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. Today is June 4th, so that means we're just a little bit more than a month away from Speak Now's Taylor's version, and I do plan on covering that on my channel track by track like any other Taylor series. But if you've been watching my Reputation series, in one of the tracks I just did recently, it was titled Dress, I decided that I would start guessing what the songs were about before I actually play them, just to see how much I can guess in regards to the songs. So I figured it would be kind of fun to do that for Speak Now, considering it's a whole new album that we're about to get into. So today I'm going to present a PowerPoint presentation on what I think each song is going to be about. So let me pull that up and I will explain it a little bit more once we get started. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, this is going to be the PowerPoint. Like I said, I'm about to explain it a little bit more, but I'm also wearing purple for that Speak Now representation, but let's just get started. Okay, so this first slide is explaining the rules of the game. On each slide that's coming up, there's going to be 3 bullet points, and the first 2 are going to be associations. So this is just based on the title, what I think the song is going to be about on first thoughts. Those are going to be the first 2 bullet points, and then the third bullet point is going to be if I'm wrong about my initial reactions to the, if I'm wrong about my initial thoughts, this is my saving grace. This is going to be my off-the-wall guess that's like kind of the opposite of what I just said, and just to kind of cover all of my bases, but maybe it'll make sense a little bit more as we get into it. Also, if you're interested in playing along with me, in the comment section at the end of this video, if you want to maybe give like star ratings, or say there's like 17 songs, you could say like I got 4 out of 17 right or something like that. You don't have to exactly let me know what the songs are about because we'll get to that when we do each video. But if you want to play along and just let me know if you think I'm right or wrong about certain tracks, that would be really fun and I'd really appreciate it. So just a thought, if you're interested in doing that, that would be really fun to do. But let's get into track 1. Okay. So my first 2 thoughts are possessive and earned career like the man. When I think of mine, I'm thinking of she's saying that she kind of like earned her career or something like that, because I do know a little bit of context of Speak Now, and it's like all written by herself to kind of prove to people that she could do that. So you guys did let me know that, so that's kind of where I got the thoughts of this song being about that. Then I also mentioned the man because I know I haven't gotten to that song on this channel, but I heard that through the Eras tour, so I do know what that song's about, and it kind of just makes me think of this song just being about how she's going to show people that she deserves her spot in this industry, kind of. So that's what I think the song is about. But then my saving grace thought could be the complete opposite of it. It's about sharing. It's about maybe what was once mine is now yours, kind of something like that. So where she's like, could be also about her career, where she's like maybe giving away information to people that are coming up, in the same way that like The Lucky One and Nothing New is kind of like. But I don't really think that's the case, just because this album is kind of from early in her career, and I feel like it's more about her establishing herself rather than her trying to uplift others. But that's kind of why we included the saving grace, because it's the complete opposite of what I actually think. But you can also let me know if any of those are right. They could all be wrong. I have no idea. Alright, so track 2 is titled Sparks Fly, and the 3 words that I put as association is chemistry, inseparable/magnetic, and then flawed. So the first 2 go hand in hand, where I do think it's a song about having like undeniable chemistry with someone that's like a hot-blooded relationship. So I overall think it's kind of a love song, but then at the same time, my saving grace response would be flawed. It's like something that sparks usually means that it's broken. Like if I'm thinking of like machinery, like you wouldn't think sparks is ever really a good thing unless if you're talking about a relationship. So maybe it could also be like I got burned by the sparks of this relationship. It's like it started too quickly, it burned too bright, and then it exploded in her face. So that's kind of what I think Sparks Fly is going to be about. It's like on paper a really fun relationship, but then it turns out to be not very good. Track 3 is Back to December, and I have heard this song, so I already know what it's about, so that's why my 3 words is forgiveness, reminiscent, and longing. It's an apology song, and it's her admitting to maybe not being the perfect one in the relationship, and she's just asking for the forgiveness, and she's kind of talking about a period of time where maybe things were better. I feel like we'll get to more of that into when we actually make the video on the song, but I have heard this one, so this one doesn't need a lot of context, honestly. Okay, so track 4 is actually this title track, which is titled Speak Now, and the 3-word association that I got of that is tongue-tied, testing authority, and possibly death. Okay, stay with me, I don't know. The first 2 go hand in hand, where it's like, it reminds me of being a little bit of a child and you're like testing the authority of speaking out against things that you don't agree with. I don't know why I think of it as like a parent or family dynamic where you're like choosing to speak up about something, But I do think Speak Now is about saying what you've been wanting to say for a long time and just like didn't get to do it. But then my other opposite opinion could also still be in the same line of that, but it could be about someone passing away where you want to make sure that you get to say goodbye and say the right things to that person in that time, just to make sure that they know that you love them. Just kind of like living with no regrets before that person passes away. I think it's more about the first two, but I'm not denying that it could be about that as well, so we're gonna keep that one open-ended. Track 5 is titled Dear John, and my 3 thoughts are John Mayer, sadness, and writing what you couldn't say. So John Mayer for obvious reasons, just because it says it in the title. Track 5 because we know that it's always devastating. And then writing what you couldn't say. The word Dear John reminds me of Dear Reader, and I feel like Dear Reader was like an advice column where it's like writing down your thoughts instead of saying it directly to that person. Maybe this is her reminiscing on the person and is writing down everything that she wishes she would have said in the moment of that relationship. Good or bad, it's just like things, again, that she didn't really get to get off of her chest, which kind of ties hand in hand with what I think the album's about, like speaking up. So I do think this is her speaking up about John Mayer. Alright, so track 6 is titled Mean, and I got Growing Up, a School Bully, and Reputation. So the first two go hand in hand as usual, and it could just be about growing up when you're not the most popular person and you just feel like people are just mean. That's the only thing I can think of. Like, mean is such a vague title that it just seems like it's just about people that are not very nice in your life. Then my saving grace thought is it could be related to Reputation in kind of a way, and I know this came long before Reputation, but just same thing as in people are gonna say what you're gonna say, but you have to just like ignore it and just like live your life the way that you want to live it. So that's kind of why I put Reputation, but I still think all 3 are kind of centered around block out the haters, kind of. Track 7, I'm actually very confident about this one for some reason. My 3 association words are fairy tale happy ending, creating scenarios, or being like a puppet. And this one sounds wild, I know, but the first 2, as usual, go hand in hand. It reminds me of a fairy tale just because it sounds like someone's writing the storybook of their life. It reminds me a little bit of Once Upon a Time. That's like a TV show where like all of the characters' shows are written in advance and that's how it plays out, which is kind of what I think this could be about a relationship where she's like writing the narrative, she's the mastermind, she's like creating all of the scenarios that will get her the relationship that she's been wanting. Or maybe it's not about a relationship, but basically her writing her own happy ending. But then I also put puppet because I feel like it could be the exact opposite, where she feels like she's in a story and someone's controlling her like a puppeteer, where like the media is going to hold on to certain things and they're going to create a story of us that was never actually true. And she just has to go along with it because she's the puppet in the story. I think I got the puppet thought just because of the Karma music video, and I know they have nothing to do with each other, but that had like a storybook opening, and it just made me think about that and then when I thought of this title, I was like, ooh, that would be a really cool song just to show like how she has to deal with the never-ending rumor cycle. So I'm actually feeling really good about my thoughts on this one, but that's kind of what I've gotten out of the title. Next is Never Grow Up, which I put as treasuring your youth, young at heart, or immaturity. And then the last one I put is a parent POV, which I know is also kind of weird, but the first 2, I just think maybe you're just like realizing that you're growing up and then like the things that are in your life right now maybe won't be in your life later. I definitely relate to that. I just feel like every year that you get older, it's like things that mattered 2 years ago do not matter now, and it takes you a long time to realize that, but once you do, it almost is a little bit freeing. So I think it's kind of about the balance of growing up, but also not too fast to where you don't regret not living in the moment, kind of. But then my saving grace response is a parent POV of someone giving her that advice. I still think it's all in the same realm, no matter what of the 3 bullet points. But maybe it could be someone actually giving her that advice and telling her, like, you know, live in the moment, because I feel like that could be very relevant to her and maybe had to grow up a little bit faster than everyone else. You could definitely argue that it was obviously worth it, but there are things that maybe she missed out on in her life, and that could maybe be connected to kind of like Mean with the school bullies. I don't know, but I feel like those 2 maybe could be connected in a way. Next up is Enchanted, and I have definitely heard this one. It was at the Eras tour, so all I put is, please don't be in love with someone else. Yeah, we don't even have to talk about it. I know it. I'm not gonna pretend to guess on it. Better Than Revenge. This one's an interesting title to me, and I put a karma precursor, unbothered, and peaceful. I put karma and unbothered just because it reminds me of karma. Better Than Revenge, it sounds like, because the title Better Than Revenge makes me think that there's something better than revenge, and as we know from the song Karma, she's saying like what goes around comes around. She doesn't have to focus on getting that revenge because she knows it will happen. And maybe this is about finding a scenario where you don't care about the revenge because you know that that person's gonna get what's coming to them, which is why I kind of put unbothered. And also, I guess my saving grace isn't really a saving grace on this one because it kind of ties in all together where it's just straight up peaceful. It's like peaceful could maybe be like killing them with kindness in a way where she's not gonna get revenge on this person. She's just gonna choose to take like the higher road or something. So that's all I really got out of this one though. Next up is Innocent, and the 3 thoughts I put was naive, which I think I'm missing some sort of English language thing on top of that. Childhood, reminiscent, and 7. So Innocent makes me think of childhood. It makes me think of before life kind of bears you down a little bit. And that's where I also think it comes with being naive. When you're younger, you want to believe things and you want to believe in other people, and that's kind of what I think about innocent. It's like you don't know better. Like no one's gonna blame you for making mistakes because you're innocent, or it also could maybe be something about like someone stealing innocence, but I don't know if it's really about that. And then my saving grace was 7 because I felt like 7 was about childhood trauma, and it was about some sort of childhood trauma or the other person having a not so great family life, where I think it could also be about that because innocent is like you're the innocent one in the situation. If you have destructive parents or something like that, the kid is the innocent person. So I think it could just really be about something with childhood. And I don't know exactly, but that's what I'm kind of thinking about this one. Alright, so the next one is Haunted, and I put trauma, fighting, and family betrayal. The trauma and fighting, I just think those are kind of related with Haunted. It's because like maybe it's some sort of like PTSD situation where you kind of just like look over your shoulder all the time because you don't want to rehash something that you've already gone through, and that's why you could be like haunted. So that's why I kind of think trauma and fighting go together. It could be the end of a relationship where you're just haunted by whatever happened in that relationship. It's just all about trying to move on from a situation. But then my saving grace option was like family betrayal, because I feel like I only put that one just because I know I mentioned in like Speak Now it could be about a death. And there's also something called Haunted, so maybe those two are connected in a way where like something that she didn't say haunts her in this life. And I know it's a super big stretch, but like, you know, if you didn't speak up then, you feel haunted by the scenario where you're always thinking like, man, I should have done that, would've, could've, should've. So that's why I put that one there. Like, do I think that's really what it's about? Probably not, but it works, doesn't it? Kind of, a little bit. Last Kiss for face value sounds sad, so I put breakup, tragedy, and marriage. I put breakup and tragedy because it just sounds like something that you would say in a breakup, like, this is going to be the last kiss that we have. But then I also think on a positive note, it could be like something about marriage, because I feel like Taylor Swift would do something like that. It's like, it's our last kiss in this stage of our relationship because now we're married. I don't know. I know that's a stretch, but I just feel like it could be something positive, and I couldn't think of anything else besides marriage. But I do think Last Kiss is probably more sad than happy, but there's a possibility, and I'm leaving that open until I get proven wrong. Alright, next up is Long Live, which is the last track on the regular edition of the album, and I put Never Change, Hometown, and Rebirth. Long Live just makes me think of always stay the same, always remember you like this. And I also put hometown just because I feel like you could think that about your hometown. It's like no matter where you go, every time you come home, you can count on certain experiences to still be there. So long live that hometown that you live in. And then also rebirth, I just feel like maybe you're growing into something else, but you want to always remember the person that you were at that certain point in time. But I don't know, because I feel like that one's loaded and it can go into multi different directions. But those were my top 3. Next track was Ours, which I put Connected to Mine, Sharing, and Children. Mine, I said, was about possessive and earning her career, but if it's not about that, I could see those songs be connected in some sort of way. I don't know exactly how they would be connected, but it's kind of interesting that there's a beginning song called Mine and there's an end song called Ours. It kind of made me think of children, because if there's something about marriage or being together, I could see like what was once mine is now ours, and that could only mean children to me in my head. I don't know why, but that's kind of what I got out of that. Alright, so the last track is titled Superman. I put Henry Cavill because that's the actor that plays Superman currently. Actually, not really, I think he got fired. Fathers, and then DCU, which is also related to Henry Cavill. But the only one of substance here is fathers, and I just thought about that as like, you know, like they call moms Wonder Woman or Superwoman, and then Superman obviously is a superhero. But I can see that being about someone's father. It's like you always look up to your parents as some sort of superhumans, and I feel like a child could process a father as a Superman. It's like they're always saving the day, they're always the one they can look for, they're kind of like their hero in a way. So I definitely think could be like a fatherly type of love song, and that's what I think that one's gonna be about. Alright, that was the end of the Speak Now predictions. Again, if you're interested in playing along, I would love for you to tell me how many of the 17 that I got right. You can just put like 3 out of 17, 1 out of 17, whatever you think. And if you want to add some context, that's pretty great too, but like let's try not to, but if you don't mind, let's not get into super big spoilers on the songs because I do want to experience those with you guys, but just anything that kind of adds to the story would be great. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in our next video.